After parting ways with Tanner Engstrand, the New York Jets are looking for an offensive coordinator. The team held interviews with 5 different candidates, a few names that would be first time coordinators, and then a couple retreads. Which option, though, sticks out as the best for New York? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Let's go.
This is NY Flight Jets Talk with Connor Long. NY Flight Jets Talk. We're talking Jets, 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 Jets. NY Flight Jets Talk with special guests. NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long. Jets, 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 Jets.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone. Welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. As always, I am your host, Connor Long, as we come to you guys live right here on this Thursday evening, January 29th, 2026. Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to drop down below, smash that like button, hit subscribe. That is the free way to support us and what we are doing right here on the channel, bringing you guys near daily New York Jets content. Again, hit like, hit subscribe. That is free, continues to help the channel grow. We also want to engage with you. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So throw your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat, and we will get to those later on in the show. But joining me right now here on the program for the first time in a little bit, I think the last time we did a pod was pre-draft, so it's been a minute, but we're back. Gunny Gumby, you know him from New York Jets Situation Report, and he joins us right now on NY Flight Jets Talk. Gunny, it is great to be with you, my friend. And since we last spoke, a lot has changed, unfortunately, negative for the most part regarding the New York Jets. But nevertheless, man, it's great to be back on the same screen with you.
Hey, what's up, Connor, brother? I've been waiting for this next opportunity to go ahead and chop it up with you, dog. It's been too long. But you're doing big things now, man. I see you all over the place, bro, writing articles, man, doing your
Appreciate
thing. I'm
Thank you.
impressed, dog. I'm impressed, man. You've come a very long way in a very short time frame. You're going to be doing this thing big time for a very long time. So
means a
honored
lot
to be
Gunny.
here with you, bro.
I appreciate the kind words. It's great to be with you as well. And unfortunately, over the period of time that both you and I have covered this team, they have not been good. They have not been good for 15 years, but the horrendous football has only been amplified with the spotlight over the past few seasons. And after just 1 year of Aaron Glenn, Gunny, the Jets are looking for 2 new coordinators. They found their DC yesterday in Brian Duker, who we'll talk about a little later on in the show. But the offensive coordinator search is kind of the headline now, the most intriguing thing really in Jets land, kind of because the move was a surprise, that being the team parting ways with now former OC Tanner Engstrand. Kind of towards the end of the year, the reporting started to come out saying not even that the Jets were going to replace Engstrand, but, the Jets were going to look to add a veteran on the staff this offseason to assist Engstrand and help him get through year 2, which I think made a lot of sense, especially with a rookie quarterback seemingly looming in New York. And then it started to shift to, the Jets are going to keep Engstrand, but they are going to bring a veteran on to call plays for the team in 2026. And then all of that went to crap when we got the news Tuesday afternoon that Glenn Engstrand and the Jets are just ultimately all parting ways, and now Engstrand is back on the open market. Your thoughts on that move?
Yeah, listen, so I don't want this to be confused with like, oh, woe is me. I'm crying that we got rid of Engstrand. Oh my God, we got rid of some superstar OC. I'm not there. I'm not there at all. I think it's just the way things went about, right? You're talking about a very dysfunctional process for us in the offseason. You're talking about a coach that was one of the worst coaches, first year head coaches like of all time. He's in that category. A guy who showed you nothing that he would be able to figure this thing out and kind of turn things around. We're screaming at the top of our lungs like you need to cut bait now because it's not going to get better. And you don't cut him, you don't fire him, but instead he fires every coordinator that he brought along. And I remember during his presser, him talking so eloquently about how he understands what talent looks like. He brought in specific individual pieces into the building to help him build this thing right. Like he took his time in bringing the staff together. Yep. And then you fire all of them, right? To include Tanner Engstrand, which I will say this. I don't think Tanner Engstrand had a fair shot. I really don't. I look at this season and I feel like he did some good things, He had some metrics, man, where his plays were creating a level of
Yeah.
separation that was in the top 3, top 5, week in and week out of this NFL season. Unfortunately for him, his quarterback couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Exactly.
And he couldn't read the offense and couldn't see the open players. So I think he got a bit of a short. He didn't get a fair shot, in my opinion. When you've got Brady Cook and freaking Justin Fields as your quarterback, and those guys can't see the field, they can't really. For you to go ahead and put that on Engstrand, where again you saw some good things with his play design, I think that was kind of foolish. And I think it's kind of foolish because you're talking about right now. It's January 29th. You fired him 3 days ago, and you're now getting into this hunt for an offensive coordinator when we're behind. Senior Bowl's currently ongoing, right? You need to have your team compiled to start talking about freaking strategy for the draft, the Senior Bowl, free agents, and you decide to let him go now. So I think personally, it just goes to show just how incompetent and just chaotic this organization is, and it's just showing us that much more how AG is just over his head. We again loved the hiring at the time. I think we all did. We were excited to have him in the building. But we've all seen bad football long enough to know what bad football looks like. And this is a coach that's in over his head. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And now here we are. Engstrand's gone. We're looking for an OC. We got a guy that's going to be holding a clipboard as a DC, right? Because Aaron Glenn's on plays now. But my goodness, man, this when you think the Jets can't embarrass you any further, like when you really think like, nah, this has got to be it. This has got to be the worst it can possibly be. They find a way. They find a way to go ahead and continue to make you a clown show in terms of sports media. And here we are, man. AG's made us the clown show of sports media as a fan base, and it's just. It's not even the same old Jets, man. It's worse. It's worse than the same old Jets. I don't ever remember a offseason being this chaotic going into year 2, right?
And it's already. It's not even February.
It's not even February. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're still in January, and it's already this chaotic. We can't even look forward to the draft because in our minds we're already thinking they're going to destroy the pick. They're going to ruin this draft for us. And so, like, bro, it's like we were saying earlier, man. Before we jump, if we could just find a way to simulate. After the draft, past the 2026 season, I would do it in a heartbeat. Just simulate it, man. Let's get to the firing of AG and really kick it off in 2027.
Yeah, well said there. When it comes to Engstrand, I have an issue with it for a handful of reasons. Number one, when you watch the film each week, when you look at separation analytics, like you mentioned, Tanner Engstrand was doing his job. He was getting guys open. His passing concepts were working, and Tanner Engstrand was not a run game coordinator. He was a pass game coordinator. That's how he made his name known over the past few seasons in Detroit with the Lions. And his concepts, his schemes were working. He just didn't have a quarterback who could get those wide open receivers the football. And when you talk about where he ranked in some key statistical categories regarding separation, he was right up there with Clint Kubiak, right up there with Ben Johnson, right up there with Joe Brady. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. But those are the names that you want your first year OC to be in company with, to be to be associated with at the top of those metrics. So I disagreed. I thought the best strategy, kind of go back, was add a veteran to his staff to help him out, add a quarterback's coach, add a passing game coordinator, someone of that nature. Even when they got to the point where, they're going to strip duties from him, I was like, all right, what is the point here? Why are you taking duties away from this guy after what he put on display, scheming guys open in year 1? He needs a quarterback. Give him one more year. If he doesn't work out, move on and probably fire the whole staff after the whole staff. Anyways, if we're being honest. But now you not only fire him, which I disagree with for, again, the reasons that I just laid out, but you'll wait so long to do it. If you were going to fire Tanner Engstrand and you had that cooked up in your brain, Aaron Glenn, fire him on Black Monday. Fire him the week after the season is over.
Right?
Maybe you don't land a Brian Dable, Gunny. Maybe you don't land a Cliff Kingsbury or someone like that, but get him in the building. Get someone like that in the building. Have your pick of the crop. Be able to pick from a larger pool of candidates. Speak with a Bobby Slowick before he was promoted to serve as the Dolphins offensive coordinator. Now the Jets are off to a late start, and the interest, seemingly, from candidates on the open market really isn't all that great, evidenced by the 5 candidates who they spoke with that I want to get into next here on the show, Gunny. The 5 offensive coordinators who the Jets conducted first-round interviews with. Lunda Wells, Ronald Curry, Darren Bevel, Frank Reich, and Greg Roman are the 5 candidates the Jets conducted a first round of virtual interviews with. Sound off on those guys for me, Gunny.
It goes to show you, like you stated earlier, right? You didn't have an opportunity to get a real option in the building. These guys haven't called plays. I get it. There's some young guys to be excited about, right? In terms of what they can be, but that's it. It's just like, could they potentially be? But we already had that in Engstrand. Right? And we got a glimpse, like you said before, association with some key like OC minds in the league in terms of his plays, creating separation. What could he do in year 2? What could he do as an actual quarterback? Like we already had that. And all you did by letting him go and then bringing these guys in is the same thing. Like, oh man, the what if, right? Frank Reich being the senior, most senior guy within this group, I would say, who's done it at a high level. You know what I'm saying? He has the experience with Andrew Luck. But let's be honest, man. Was it Frank Reich or was it Andrew Luck? Andrew Luck was a different beast, right? Was it also with Peyton? I think he had some experience with Peyton Manning as well, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, you look at this and it leaves very little to be excited about because, again, I think Bevel was it Bevel with Miami?
Bevel has been with Miami, yeah, but he's most known for his time with the Seahawks, yeah.
Okay, for the Seahawks. I feel like you brought these guys in and you're hoping they can do something for you when you had Engstrand, who showed you a little bit of something, and what can you do in year 2, right? Like, and that's where you realize like there's no real true process to this. They're throwing poop at the wall and hoping it sticks pretty much, right? At this point. I feel like the season's already over, and I think AG kind of knows the season is over. And the reason why they don't have their pickings in terms of who they want is because the league knows AG's season is already over. They already know he's on the hot seat. No one's going to tie their freaking their careers to this sinking ship because they've seen what AG brought to the table last year. They see how things are going for us in January right now, and they already know, bro, you probably got 8 games. You probably got 8 games next year to figure this thing out, and then you're done.
Yeah.
What does that do for me? It makes no sense. So this is why we're scraping the bottom of the barrel right now, trying to go ahead and get somebody in the building. At this point, like I said before, man, the 2020 Jets fans, be ready, man. 2026 season is going to be very difficult. You just gotta be ready for it. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be painful. But I think it's gonna be. I think it was freaking. I forget who said it. I forget who said it, but the March for Arch. That's the thing. Like
Jake.
Was it Jake? All right, so Jake said it. So like March for Arch, right? Like at the end of the day, at the end of the rainbow of next year, I really do believe the Jets might get the first overall pick. Like if I had to put money on it today, I'm betting we get the first overall pick. And then Arch Manning at the end of the rainbow, because that's the only thing we're going to have to look forward to from the season opener. Is, well, at the end of this year, Arch Manning could be there for us to take at pick number 1.
Gunny, with the Jets offensive coordinator candidates, Lunda Wells, first off, the most experience level that he's coached at has been tight ends coach, never a run game coordinator, never a pass game coordinator. So just tight ends coach over the past 5 years in Dallas. And look, I give the guy credit. He's done a great job. He's helped develop Jake Ferguson and Dalton Schultz over there. He's on the younger side, under 45 years old. But again, that is, I'm not saying the Jets need to go after a retread. I'm not saying Frank Reich, Darrell Bevel be the Jets' next offensive coordinator, but I'm saying you need someone with at least an ample amount of experience to the degree where, okay, they've been a pass game coordinator like Tanner Engstrand, or they've been a run game coordinator. Wells doesn't offer that. Ronald Curry more so, only 2 years really though to base him off of in Buffalo with the Bills. That's where he's been getting a lot of his interviews from. And Josh Allen is Josh Allen at the end of the day. Joe Brady is Joe Brady. So it's hard to assess really what he's done over there. Hasn't called plays. And then with the 3 retreads, shout out to my guy Michael Nania, my colleague over at JetX, for putting together these 3 stats that I want to bring up here on the list just to show how unattractive overall all 3 of these candidates are. We'll start at the top with Frank Reich. Over his last 4 years, 2022, fired in season after a 3-5-1 start. He was the Colts head coach that year. While averaging 14.7 points per game, he was their offensive play caller. 2023, fired mid-season as the Carolina Panthers head coach after a 1-10 start. Bryce Young, by the way, had a historically bad year. I think it was 4.1 net yards per attempt that he had under Reich's watch. That was the worst in NFL history. Now, Greg Roman, one of the other retreads who interviewed for the job, his impact on the last 2 quarterbacks. Justin Herbert with the Los Angeles Chargers averaged 47 fewer passing yards per game. with Roman than without. Along with 6 fewer touchdown passes per 17 games. And then Lamar Jackson's 3 worst non-rookie seasons, both in terms of passer rating and pass yards per attempt, are with Roman. 2 best came in the 2 years after Roman left. And then look down at Darrell Bevell. Has not overseen an offense that ranked top 15 in offensive DVOA since being 15th in 2017 with the Seahawks and getting fired due to its underperformance. Hasn't been top 10 since 2015. So those are the candidates that the Jets are looking at. And I've spoken highly about Greg Roman just because, look, I don't think Greg Roman is a Dave Canales. I don't think Greg Roman's Liam Cohen or any of these type guys, but at least he's been around young quarterbacks and help them have some success. Like you could point to the years after in Baltimore and having seen Lamar have more success, but ultimately under Roman's watch, under his play calling, Lamar Jackson developed into the quarterback that he is and won his first MVP award, 1 out of the 2 that he's won throughout his career. And he's also one of the best run game designers in the NFL. So that gives you the bonus. Look, it's slim pickings, for lack of a better term, regarding the Jets offensive coordinator search and the names that they're speaking to. Among the retreads, the first time guys, who sticks out to you as, I don't love him, but this is the guy that I want to have the keys of the offense.
I mean, yeah, I think it boils down to Greg Roman, right? He's been an OC in the league for what, 12 of the last 14, or maybe is it 13?
Yeah, I mean,
seasons?
he's had 3 stints as an OC.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? He's got the experience, man. And it's true in terms of the running game design. He's definitely got an edge there as well. I guess, yeah, you got to look at the fact that like he was instrumental in the development of Lamar Jackson, right? And you got to hope that maybe he can go ahead and find a spark in whoever it is we bring in to be the quarterback for the 2026 New York Jets. But like you said, man, I go back to what I said earlier. You look at the roster of individuals who walked in, and where's the hope? Like, where's the hope aspect, right? Like, because you kind of either know what you're getting, or you got a bunch of guys who haven't done it before, and you're just kind of hoping they can figure it out. But we had Tanner Angstrand, who showed us a little bit of something in year 1, and you were hoping like there was hope there that he could take this to the next level with maybe a decent quarterback or an opportunity to go ahead and learn again after a whole year of watching the tape. What did I do wrong? How could I get better? Maybe you get him a running game coordinator that could have assisted him in making the run game more efficient. But there's so many things you could have done to go ahead and see Angstrom take it to the next level. Again, I'm not going to die on the hill saying like, whoa, it's me. They fired Angstrom. He's going to be the next freaking McVay. I'm not saying that at all. But I just feel like in terms of just how crappy this season was, just the lack of tools he had to work with on offense, especially at the quarterback position. Your best wide receiver goes down early in the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't catch in the pass after October. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. Like, and again, if you're gun to my head, I think Roman is probably the best choice of these options, and only based off of the fact that you're hoping lightning can strike twice, and whatever quarterback we get in the building, he can go ahead and work some magic and make them somewhat respectable. But there's no Lamar Jackson coming out in free agency right now. There's no Lamar Jackson coming out of freaking the draft either. And my fear is the Jets are going to go ahead and try to draft Ty Simpson or something like that. And oh my gosh, man, I guess my biggest fear right now is Aaron Glenn realizing just how bad it is for him, that he's going to take this draft and try to make these ridiculous swings to kind of like save face, right? Ty Simpson shouldn't be drafted by us, but could he potentially go after Ty Simpson? Hopefully he's at least wise enough to know he's not the number 2 overall pick, but is the 16th overall pick going to be used on Ty Simpson? I think that's gross. I think the guy in the second round, it's easier to swallow if you want to go ahead and go that route, because there is no other option. But yeah, no, if I had to pick one of these guys, man, I think Roman would probably be the best bet. Do I think he gets the job? No. I think ultimately it's probably going to wind up being right, because I think Roman also is kind of a big personality. And I don't think Aaron Glenn wants a personality in the building with him. I really believe that he's concerned about having somebody who he'll start hearing you know what I'm saying, like fire AG by like week 3, week 4.
That could be a reason he didn't want to bring in Wink Martindale as well.
I do believe that as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Frank. Frank Reich is a quiet guy. He's not going to go ahead and make a lot of noise. He's not going to go ahead and be spectacular. And he's going to be non-threatening, which is another thing that I think is going to be a limitation for a guy like Aaron Glenn, that he doesn't have the confidence or the know-it-all to go ahead and surround himself with better people, smarter people. He wants to be the smartest guy in the room. He's intimidated by bringing in somebody who might have a more impressive resume, and that's going to hinder him in his success. He'll be gone from the Jets. I'm pretty positive of that. He might get another shot down the line, but until he gets over that hump of being able to surround yourself with better resumes than your own, he's going to struggle to go ahead and make it as the head coach in the league. So look at Saleh. Saleh brought in freaking Brian Dable to be his OC in Tennessee. This is the guy who realized he needed to bring somebody who's knows offense. He knows that ain't him.
Yeah.
He knows offense. He's wanted to go ahead and bring a guy who is a huge personality, because Dable ain't. He's a huge personality. And don't be surprised if Tennessee next year looks decent. Cam Ward with Dable, you know what I'm saying, going over plays and developing him. Listen, bro, it would not surprise me if Tennessee surprised a lot of people next year.
Yeah.
And be ready for it, Jets fans. Be ready to get cooked, because you know they might win. They might make it to the playoffs in a wild card. Right? Oh, Robert Saleh made it to the playoffs before the Jets did, and they fired Robert. Watch, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, I think Robert Saleh is doing with Dable. Tennessee's going to be interesting. I don't think AG has that gene in him. I think he's afraid of bringing in individuals who might be better than him at the coaching thing, and that's a problem if you're going to be the head coach of a football team. That's a huge problem.
Smash the like button, hit subscribe. He's Gunny Gumby. I'm Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Again, hit like, hit subscribe. That is the free way to help support the show and help get the word out, what we're doing over here, covering the Jets. Of course, follow Gunny, New York Jets Situation Report. He's doing his thing every Tuesday night across all platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Go over there, shoot him a follow, doing great work. As always, Gunny, I think Frank Reich is the favorite to earn this job, like you said, not only because of the ego component that I think is also important, but the Jets, he was the first candidate the Jets were linked to, and he was reporting that the Jets have been zeroing in on him, and now that they fired Engstrand, they need to go through the formal hiring process for an OC that includes the Rooney Rule, giving 2 minority candidates interviews for the job, and then obviously just speaking with a few other guys, right? Because why not get hear from Greg Roman, hear from Darren Bevel, hear from Ronald Curry, who's worked with one of the best offenses in the league in the Buffalo Bills over the past couple seasons. I want to touch on this comment, though, right here from Nilly Nilly, who appears to be a Chargers fan, and says, trust me, you don't want Greg Roman. He lacks the ability to adjust, and when he has a game plan that actually works, he doesn't go back to it again. These past 2 seasons were rough to watch. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, Nilly Nilly, but again, against the limited options that the Jets are picking from, I think Roman is the best one.
The best one.
Yeah, he has experience working with these different quarterbacks. He's been around the league. He's had success before in the league. And I think you say that if you are a Chargers fan, I'm assuming you are. But the Chargers, Greg Roman and his whole play calling and who he is as a coordinator is predicated upon having a really good physical, dominant offensive line up front, because he's one of the most innovative run game designers in the league. Throughout his 3 years in Baltimore, all 3 of those rushing attacks ranked in the league's top 3. With the Chargers this year, Rashawn Slater suffered an injury before the season ended. Their stud left tackle was out for the whole year, and then Joe Alt didn't make it till week 10 before he suffered a season-ending injury. Gunny, the Chargers shuffled through 29 different offensive line combinations this past year. How many did the Jets go through? One. All 17 games, same offensive line out there. So
unheard of for us. Unheard of for us.
As well. And of course, it's the 1 year that they win 3 games. Insane. Yeah. It's something new every year.
We find ways, bro. Yeah. We find ways to just embarrass ourselves every single year. It's
the special teams dominance, everything. Throw it right down the drain and win 3 games because of it. So, yeah, again, the names aren't much to get excited about. I think Reich will ultimately end this job. I think tomorrow night, Saturday morning, I'll be doing a breaking news show saying Frank Reich has been hired by the Jets as their offensive coordinator. I think that's the point that it's going to get to. And man, it's concerning because the last time we've seen Reich around a young quarterback in Bryce Young, he almost ruined him, but 100%. Then Dave Canales came in, one of the best young, bright offensive minds in the league, and said, whoa, this kid who won the Heisman Trophy in his senior year and was the number 1 overall pick is not ruined. He just wasn't coached properly, and then 2 years later brought that quarterback to the playoffs. So that's concerning to me. The guy hasn't had any success in the NFL for the past 5 years, and you're giving him the keys to a young quarterback, and you're giving him the keys overall to this offense, because keep in mind, the Jets don't have the luxury of having an offensive-minded head coach. Aaron Glenn has a defensive background. He is not an offensive guy. Nope. So the development of this quarterback and the success of the offense is going to be directly tied to whoever the OC is, most likely Frank Reich at this juncture, like we're discussing. And frankly, I think fans should be concerned about that.
No, 100%. 100%. Listen, and Nilly, we appreciate you, man. Like, this isn't us like shooting you down or anything like that. This is just the current state of who we are as Jets fans. This is where we're at, where it's a scrap heap, and we got to go ahead and get the best. Like, even though we know the season is probably lost, us fans, we're weird. Jets fans are weird. We know it's lost, but there's this hopeful zealousness in us that we believe maybe, just maybe this is the year Greg Roman figures it all out. Maybe AG laughs at all of us and proves we want to be proven wrong. We just know, like, we've seen this story so many times before, man. It's going to be bad. At this point, it doesn't matter who you bring into this building. Like you said, it's who's available. But I do believe it's going to be Frank Reich ultimately. I don't think it's going to be Roman, even though Roman would be the best option of the available interviews they've done thus far. But yeah, it's going to be a tough year for us. So, but I appreciate the concern, though. Thank you very much that, you wasn't being mean about it, right? He was legitimately like, hey, guys, this isn't the way you want to go.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately, the way our story works is that's just how,
it doesn't matter.
How it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Damned if you don't.
They hire. And it's so funny because I went back through the archives and we actually did a show the day after they hired Steve Wilkes and after they hired Eric Washington and Aaron Curry. So the three main fires really for the team this past year. And I always like going back, especially if I have a take that misses, especially like I did with Wilkes. Both of us did with Wilkes back then. And we were going back and forth, and I was listening to it, and really there's not anything we said that was too asinine or was too crazy. The biggest thing, in my opinion, that was overlooked, myself included, I'm not trying to sound like the genius in the room and saying, oh, I knew Steve Wilkes was an awful hire for Aaron Glenn to begin with. I understood the thought process, but going back, I think what Aaron Glenn has to pick up on is this is someone who has gone one and done in his past 3 stops in the NFL. That is something that the head coach of the football team needs to realize when you're hiring a defensive coordinator and a play calling defensive coordinator for the first time. The other thing is him and Glenn have 2 completely different schematical approaches. So it was confusing to see how they built the roster last year because we never really got a concrete answer. The most we got from Glenn is it's going to be my scheme, but Wilkes is calling it. And then the answer began to shift. So we don't really know what the issue is. However, he got fired 15 weeks into the season, rightfully so, fully justified.
Yeah.
Jets search for a defensive coordinator, initially interview 8 candidates. 3 come back for second interviews. Wink Martindale was the clear-cut favorite, ultimately did not get done from what we're hearing due to the fact that Aaron Glenn expressed interest in calling plays, and Wink Martindale didn't want to be second fiddle to Aaron Glenn with the Jets. Durante Jones was ultimately hired by the Washington Commanders, and Chris Harris, the interim for the final 3 games of last year, got the second interview, ultimately did not get the job. And then in the last-minute fashion that the Jets typically do with a lot of these hires that shows they had no plan whatsoever, they went back and they added a final interview to the list. His name was Brian Duker of the Miami Dolphins at the time. And less than 24 hours after that interview, he was reportedly hired. So the Jets have their new DC, Brian Duker. Gunny, what are your thoughts on it?
What's there to have a thought on? The guy was an assistant, you know what I'm saying? I think he was a safeties coach, and he was an assistant defensive coach, with the Lions. And I think last year he was actually a passing game coordinator for the Dolphins. Like, he wasn't, or running it, one of the two. He was a coordinator for the Dolphins.
Passing game and secondary,
right?
No, defensive passing game coordinator.
Defensive passing game coordinator.
And secondaries coach,
Secondaries coach. Okay, cool. So you bring the guy in that, I mean, let's be honest, he hasn't called plays. He's not going to be threatening. You're offering him an opportunity to come here and be the DC and hold a clipboard. Bit of a pay bump for him. It's a win-win situation, right? And you're told you're not calling plays, so it's all right. He knows he's a glorified assistant, right? So this isn't a guy. This was a virtual interview, mind you, too. This wasn't like, oh, bring you in for this. Was a virtual interview. So the team.
Good point.
The team didn't care about this defensive hire. They didn't care. And I don't know when it changed between like Aaron Glenn wanting to bring in a Leonard or a Martindale to the building, and then all of a sudden went away. Some people are saying like they think what might have actually happened was, why are we going to go ahead and pay $4 or $5 million to one of these veteran guys or a Jim Leonard who's going to go ahead and be getting the most money because he was the hot. This is ridiculous. I'm paying you to, and I think that maybe Woody might have got involved, but in all actuality, I think it does boil down to Aaron Glenn's insecurities. And when he got those guys in the interviews and he realized, man, these guys could come after my job if things start going awry. I might be getting fired and they get promoted. I think that's where he looked at it and said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and run the defense as well. So that way he makes himself more valuable. And that's why you bring in a guy like Brian Duker. The resume is not there. I don't think this is going to be some exciting up-and-coming defensive mind. He wasn't the best person you spoke to. I think, honestly, Leonard would have probably been the best person you spoke to that gives you that upside. But you chose to go this route because it's unthreatening. It's non-threatening pick. And this guy is not going to go ahead and be somebody who's going to go ahead and talk back to AG. He's going to hold the clipboard, collect his paycheck, and go along with the process. And that's why AG brought him into the building. He hired a yes man. Let's be honest. He hired a yes man. And I don't know what this does for Brian Duker's career in the future, because like we're gonna see that you're just a yes man moving forward after he gets fired next year. Like, what does it do for you? But he's gonna go ahead and get a couple of years out of it where he's gonna make way more money than he would have as a coordinator. So as a I don't know, bro. Like I think honestly, when I saw the name, I had no clue who the guy was. I actually had to go ahead and look him up, and I'm like, what has this guy done? Nothing was the answer that I could find. And it made all the sense in the world. Okay, you hired your buddy that you work with the Lions because you know he's going to be a good little yes man, and that's the only reason why he's in the building. Because AG decided this guy's is going to be non-threatening. I don't got to worry about it. Boom, come over here. You can go ahead and help me, write the plays on a whiteboard as we talk about them in my office or something.
It's funny, guys, because I actually disagree with you on this. I actually really like the hire for the Jets. Sure, he may not be calling plays in year one. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. Duker has no play calling experience, and you always want more data points to evaluate your head coach. Glenn was a non-play calling head coach last year, which is kind of rare to an extent in the modern day NFL, with the exceptions of a John Harbaugh who just got fired in Baltimore. So you're going to have more points now to assess Aaron Glenn and who he really is. And it'll be interesting to monitor the guys who kind of fell off a cliff last year, Jamie and Sherwood, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, how they perform with Glenn calling the plays. So it's going to be interesting to watch from that facet. But this shows me beyond that. This shows me that Aaron Glenn learned his lesson. He took the retread route with Steve Wilkes that we kind of just broke down quickly, why it ultimately didn't work out. Now he's going to the well with someone who sees the game similar to him schematically, who has helped a really, really, really thin Miami Dolphins secondary outperform expectations over the past 3 years. He's pretty young. He's 36 years old. I much prefer this over than going with a Wink Martindale, who we know who he is, a Jim O'Neill, we know who that is. Going down that well with a retread. I cited him. I cited Ephraim Banda. I cited DeMarcus Covington as names that I really, really liked for this role, just because, look, give a young guy a chance. I'd rather go down trying with a young guy than lose with Wink Martindale. So maybe Glenn calls plays this year, shows enough, sticks around for a year 3, and then Duker takes over play calling duties in his second season, and we see something out of him. Man, I'd really, really, really like this hire, because it shows me that Glenn has kind of taken a shift in his mentality, and the Jets are trying something new. And it could work out. Look, Gunny, no one expected Chris Banjo to be the star on the Jets coaching staff last year. The guy was 2 years removed from playing in the NFL, led a special teams unit to one of the best seasons in NFL history, and now he's already being regarded as one of the best assistant head coaches in the NFL. So I like this hire a lot more than most, and I understand why people are concerned. I understand why people prefer the retreads, but that's kind of just where I'm coming from.
No, and I get where you're coming from. I appreciate the positivity, man, but I think ultimately for your perspective, you would have to believe in AG. And honestly,
I don't. To be clear,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Yeah.
So like, if we're talking about a guy who you could look at as a head coach, you know what? Yeah, like him calling the plays going to. I don't believe that he didn't have any input in the Jets defense last year. AG's not the kind of guy who's going to sit on the sideline and not have his input on that defense. I believe the defense operated with him and Wilkes' hands all over it. I know at the end he said like, "Oh, that was Wilkes' defense." You're not fooling me, bro, because your hands are in everything. You made it a point numerous times to say, "Hey, you're the head coach. You're coaching everybody. You're a part of every game plan. You're in every meeting." Those were the words he said to me. So I don't think, like, I love the thought process of somebody who we believe in as a head coach. taking over the play calling, bringing in a guy that's, like you said before, to go ahead and bounce ideas off the walls together. But I don't believe in AG, man. And it's not to be a jerk or anything like that. I love the hire when we got the guy, but we've just seen so much bad coaching as Jets fans. Like, we know it when we see it, man. We know it when we see it. And AG showed us a lot of markers as to why this is just way over his head. So love the thought process if you believe in the head coach. And you're 100% right. This makes a lot of sense if you believe in the head coach's ability. Unfortunately for me, I don't believe in the head coach's ability, man. And I have a hard time looking at anything he's doing right now positively. He's made me become that pessimist. That's proved me wrong. Like, at this point, I'm just hoping he proved me wrong. But in my book, by week 8, AG's probably gone.
Boom. You heard it here first. Gunny Gumby making a prediction in-season firing for Aaron Gunn. He can't afford to get off to a rough start. That's the bottom line. And by not going one and done, the Jets are hoping that Glenn will be a significant outlier and outbeat expectations. And at this point, again, I said it there, he would need to be an outlier because
100%.
He showed us nothing in year one that not only winning just 3 games, but he showed us no hope, no progress, no steady progression, okay, we have this to hang our hat on that Dan Campbell even did year one in Detroit, that Kyle Shanahan did with the 49ers in year one, that Zach Taylor did with the Bengals in year one. None of it. And again, among those 4, counting Glenn, AG's the only defensive-minded head coach among that group as well. So you throw that in to the
everything you need to know
as well, and boom, it's all there. Gunny, thanks so much for the time, man. It was great chopping up with you. Hope to do it again soon. You got any final thoughts here before we wrap the show up?
Yeah, man. Listen, and enjoy the draft. Right, enjoy the draft. I'm looking forward to 2027. Enjoy college football this season when it starts popping up. Jets fans, start getting your big boards ready. It's going to be a tough season, but at the same token, I would love to be proven wrong. I hope they come out swinging and they have a Vrabel Patriots type of resurgence in the 2026 season.
Boom.
And I'll be glad to jump on camera and say, man, was I wrong about that?
Hell yeah.
That's the hope. That's the hope. As a Jets fan, I am really hoping that we are the pessimism that you're seeing from a lot of us right now is overrated and it's exaggerated and we're wrong. I want that. But I also say be prepared for the worst case scenario. And at the very least, the March for Arch is going to be in full go by end of September.
Gunny, it was great going back and forth with you, man.
Shout
out to 180 guys watching us live. Hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for all the kind words and support. That'll do it for us. For Gunny Gumby, I'm Connor Long right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, saying have a great rest of your Thursday evening, everyone. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets. Peace out, folks.